Hello, everybody. This is the first episode of the Glassbreak blog. I'm here with my friend Luna. Say hi, Luna.
Hi.
So, what would today's topic be about?
Politics?
Okay, that sounds like a good topic. So, what's been on your mind?
Mostly how Trump got elected and he's kind of been screwing over the country.
I'd love to hear more.
I don't really know much. Well, for one, he's kind of screwing over like a lot of trans people with trying to get HRT banned and crap.
Mm,
And another thing, he's doing all these tariffs and it's screwing up the economy from what I've seen.
a 25% tariff on most countries at a base level, with tariffs going up to
Jesus
like
Christ.
about 67% on Chinese products, and surprisingly, a 30% tariff on Israeli products too.
Yeah,
It seems like
something's gonna happen.
it seems like he might lose support from the America-Israeli Political Action Committee with certain actions like this, because it will upset certain nations, definitely.
Yeah. I do think there's been two things that he's done good in my eyes. It was reverting the TikTok ban because I can't use CapCut if the company that runs TikTok is banned, and then the most recent thing where it basically almost banned people from buying tickets and reselling them for higher prices at concerts and crap.
Oh yes, controlling scalpers, people who buy tickets at
Yeah,
low prices and resell them for high prices due to high demand and limited supply of a limited commodity.
yeah.
Hmm.
What else? I don't know.
Hmm.
You go.
Hmm. I really don't know what to say, to be 100% honest. I was reading.
Um,
I'll let you go.
Well, I think for one, Vladimir Putin's paranoia is increasing from what I've heard. I think at least.
I'm honestly unsurprised. A lot of world
I
pressure.
mean, I've been hearing this is an older video that I saw, but they've been shooting down their own aircraft by accident.
I mean, the world is putting a lot of pressure on Moscow and the Kremlin, because some of these sanctions that are put onto Russia are really affecting them hard, such as the Russian Federation being blocked from SWIFT payments. SWIFT payments are the ones they use for like banking between nations.
Yeah,
And with the recent laws banning what they see as LGBT displays in public, that could be a really big one too, as we see society progressing
yeah,
in most countries. And what a law that can be! It's a law that can be used like to pretty much used to be arrest anybody. Because what do you even consider LGBT looks? If a person that appears male is in a crop top, is that bad? Who knows? I mean, obviously understand if they're in like booty shorts and like one of those like net t-shirts, but
yeah.
like a crop top and shorts, could that be seen as quote homoerotic? Has that law
I don't
been
know.
passed? These are kind of like rhetorical questions, Luna.
uh, hmm. I think one thing that should be addressed is homophobia and transphobia. That stuff is, I think, getting out of hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember the whole reason why I don't want to watch It Chapter 2 anymore is because of that homophobic intro scene.
I can totally agree. When I saw that in theaters, it just shocked me to my core hearing that. I don't think it was appropriate, and it was awful what happened to that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is a little off topic, but there's this funny joke where it talks about this anti-LGBT Hungarian politician who got caught in homosexual party is what I will say. Yeah, and then he resigned like right after they found out. Like, brother, you ain't hiding it. Just live your life. You got the looks. You could be a bear. Twinks will love that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Another thing that should be brought up is abortion bans. I personally don't think abortion should be banned
mm,
because, well, I think people being stupid and not using condoms or birth control, yeah, that's dumb. But I feel like how they're saying it's murder on something that is barely alive is not something, that's not a good thing to go off of. And not to mention, even if you're on birth control or condoms, there's something can always slip up.
don't
And
get
not
me.
to mention also if you are raped, because you could easily get pregnant. Women can get pregnant from that,
Don't get me
and
started.
it's
100% birth control promotes 100% effectiveness rate.
I mean, unless it's a trans mask or trans femme person.
Mm, yeah, that's the exception. I still love my
Yeah,
trans mask and trans femme homies. Y'all got a place in my heart.
yeah.
But you non-binaries, you're on thin ice. I'm just joking. I love y'all. I have no hate towards anybody except bigots.
I forgot what a bait is.
A person who is hateful in multiple different ways.
Oh,
Mm,
I think a dumb move Ukraine did do, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but a dumb thing that Ukraine definitely did was give away their nukes to Russia.
honestly, when they surrendered their nuclear capacity to the Russian Federation, they were kind of in a rough spot. The fall of the Soviet Union, the who was going to manage the missiles properly if you didn't have the Soviet engineers from the Russian Federation managing them. So it was kind of like a very risky situation where Ukraine did the best they could, but even their
Fair.
best still kind of failed. I mean, hindsight is important, but you couldn't have really predicted what was going to happen. It was such a turbulent time with the fall of the Soviet Union.
European and U.S. relations are getting extremely tense.
Mm,
And I've seen it from videos that I've watched because I follow a pretty reliable military news short channel.
mm.
It's very reliable, and it's just stuff is not going well.
At least it's not YouTube Shorts brain rot.
Yeah.
Mm. Honestly, the saddest thing is I still remember my friend who I was good friends with him and I was in contact with him like before the Russia Ukraine war happened, and I remember him telling me that they were going to go to war soon. They did go to war, and then I kind of lost contact. I'm pretty sure he got drafted.
Drafting should be a war crime.
Absolutely.
Like, I really think they should continue doing what the U.S. does,
But the thing is,
where it's been.
if the soldiers go voluntarily, they're going to fight to their last tooth and nail. If they're forced to go in, they're just going to be like, okay, my goal is just to do my duty, go home.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not to mention, Russia barely trains and barely supplies their troops.
With the Chinese-made cardboard bulletproof vest. Oh my god. I feel bad almost. I mean, they've been raised from birth to believe that was right, to believe that
Yeah,
Russia's interest in military affairs is the correct way to live. With the strong influence of the Russian Orthodox Church and its hyper militaristic ideology.
exactly.
Mm. on YouTube where it talks about the sanctions on Russia. This was a video back in 2023, I believe, where they didn't get rid of a lot of the brands, but they did like
Yeah.
rename them and have local managers. So instead of McDonald's, they had Yum, that's it. And instead of Coca-Cola, they had like Cool Cola, I believe it was called. Very similar formula and branding. And there's also a lot of imports from what is considered friendly countries in Europe, like certain places in Poland and Belarus and other countries that still allow imports to Russia, either legally or illegally. Like for
Yeah.
example, they still have the Apple stores there, and they call them like the Re and then like the colon store, like the Restore, and they still have the Levi store, which was renamed JNS.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a strong feeling World War III will be started by Russia, not by Germany this time.
I agree.
I mean, I thought of a joke where it was like, "Hey, let's make it so Germany can have more than 100,000 troops. They'd be the strongest military in the world again."
Yeah, definitely.
When you just see those German soldiers pulling up to Moscow in their tanks, and they think in their head, "Damn, my grandfather wanted to do this. I'm gonna make him proud." uh,
Uh, I'm not sure.
okay, but maybe with a little bit of the rest, less racism this time.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think we should honestly just drone strike Moscow.
Mm.
Like we have the capability to do it, so why don't we do it? There's no need for nukes, no need for nothing. Just a simple drone strike on Moscow. Simple.
But you realize that if Moscow goes down, they have that dead hand system. Remember, where
That's for nuclear activity.
how do we not know that there could be a secret system that's similar to that, where if they detect a certain amount of Moscow being destroyed, missiles might automatically be sent. There's no response from the Kremlin or the Ministry of Defense.
We have the anti-air capabilities, from what I've heard, to take out basically all their missiles.
Mm. Well,
Plus, I'm sure if America did this, they would have all of their anti-air systems prepped and ready.
oh, like the NORAD system in Rome, New York, and then that one in I think Denver, Colorado. They have I think they got that missile defense facility there through NORAD.
Yeah.
I know they have that one in Rome. I've heard and I've seen it
But I'm
several
sure
times.
anti-air systems would be on high alert if they tried anything against the capital.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully we would have a system like the Star Wars system above NATO countries.
Yeah, if Trump still decides to stay in NATO.
Yeah. I mean, hell, if Trump leaves NATO, they'll probably just start an EU military-based correlation or group.
Yeah.
So like,
Poland's already like I think Poland is already starting a new alliance, new military alliance. Another thing I heard, Trump actually threatened not to abide by Article 5 of NATO,
hmm,
which Article 5 is, in simple terms, an attack on one and an attack on all.
a collective
And
pact
it's
of war.
funny. It's funny because if they don't abide by Article 5, then technically the other countries don't have to.
Hmm. Well, it wouldn't be that if they break Article 5, that gives the other countries. It wouldn't be breaking Article 5. It would be enforcing Article 5,
Yeah.
which would be an interesting dilemma. It'd be kind of like if a soldier attacks another soldier. What do you do? Like they're both kind of like equals. I mean, if the United States leaves NATO, probably Germany will be controlling NATO, and then you know what? You'll have direct control from Berlin, from all of Europe. Sounds like a very particular mustache man's goal. Direct control from
No,
all
that's the EU. That's the EU. I've already looked at maps. It's pretty similar to the old empire Germany had.
Yeah, but NATO would just be the armed wing of the EU.
Yeah.
with all the cutting of foreign aid, are we gonna stop giving I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I lost track of thought.
Mm,
And what about those supposed biolabs in Russia they're talking about like years ago when it first started? I haven't heard shit about that recently. You think if they
I don't
really
know.
you think if they really did have those US biolabs, we'd have soldiers on the ground defending them because that's a pretty important fucking thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, these biolabs are not probably not like the CDC lab in Atlanta, because I really don't want Russia to have more smallpox than they already do. I know Polish blood is strong, but I don't think it's smallpox strong.
Yeah.
Oh, to all my Polish viewers, I love you. Don't worry, it's all in good humor.
Definitely.
Y'all got that really good seltzer water I like. You too, Ukraine. Oh my goodness, it's so unfair. I have to go to the European food store in like a medium-sized city that's like 30 minutes away from me. And oh my goodness, all the stuff they have imported from Europe is so good. It really is. I'm like, why don't we have this in our grocery stores?
That's because half the stuff in Europe is properly done instead of the American way where it's like cheaply done.
I mean, hell, if you want the same quality, you gotta go to the grocery store and look in the foreign section. Usually look like in the kosher halal section for the good stuff too, but sometimes even that's been quote Americanized. And I'll be honest with you, Dasani water is a crime against humanity. It really is. It tastes like coins.
Oh, this is interesting.
What would that be?
Germany is deploying troops into Lithuania on a long term basis for the first time since World War II.
I'm gonna check
That's interesting.
I'm gonna check AP real quick. Associated Press. They're always a
Hmm.
good one to check. Shadow AP. Oh, this is cute. Bodega cat makes New Yorkers' hearts purr, even if they violate state regulations. Violate state
Right.
regulations? These cats are so cute. I'd overlook it. Hey, as long as
Oh, they're taking on leader. It says right here Germany's defense minister, Boris, sorry if I butchered this last name, Pistorius, previously said, with this war ready brigade, we're taking on leadership responsibility on NATO's eastern flank. The new brigade is made up of several battalions and will have about 5,000 soldiers and civilian staff. It will have full wartime readiness by 2027. It's funny because even though it's not up to America, it's Germany is still an economical powerhouse, so they could easily mass produce military stuff, in my opinion.
I'm just looking at the news for a second. Talking about the tariffs. NASA's Webb telescope captures photos of the asteroid that won't hit Earth till 2032.
Wait, there's an asteroid that's gonna hit Earth.
A 3% chance.
Oh, well, it's still a chance.
It's about 260 meters across and about the height of a 15-story building. More than likely, even if it hits, it might like destroy a few towns, but that'd be about it.
Lawmakers this month voted to alter the German constitution in a way that would unlock billions of dollars that could be used for defense spending. And they have avoided heavy militarism for obvious reasons. World War One and World War Two.
Hmm.
Europe needed to be able to match the U.S. and to match Russia with With escalating its own defense production, we need to catch up to the speed of Russia. Russia is building prototype tanks left and right, from what I've heard.
Hmm,
I don't care if I get hated for saying all this. I'm just saying what I know.
that's perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is interesting. An analysis from the Times of Israel. After Israel fails to win a reprisal from Trump's tariffs, will its economy be hit? New U.S. policy sets to threaten competitiveness of Israeli exports of machinery and medical equipment, experts say, with potential damage to the tech industry is limited.
Mhm. So, fear that Trump tariffs will spark recession wipes out more than $2 trillion in value from U.S. stocks.
But this will be an interesting case. In 2023, about 70% of Israel's tech exports were software services. So will software be tariffed? Like if I buy like
I
software for
certainly hope not.
because honestly, if it is, maybe we should start having download centers in the United States to save money.
Immigration officials raid Washington State roofing company and arrest over 3 dozen people.
Mm. Oh, reading about that, Passover is almost here. If you're at Walmart or whatever and you see a Coca-Cola with a yellow cap, make sure you get it. It uses like not too many grains and it uses cane sugar instead because it doesn't
Hmm.
use any grains or anything that's prohibited during Passover. It is the best. It's like getting the Mexican Coca-Cola at normal US prices. I mean, it's rare to get, but oh my goodness, that stuff is good.
Okay, so what I'm reading here, Democratic officials in 19 states filed a lawsuit Thursday against President Donald Trump's attempt to reshape elections, calling it across the U.S., calling it an unconstitutional invasion of states' clear authority to run their own elections. The lawsuit is the fourth against the executive order issued just a week ago. It seeks to block key aspects of it, including new requirements that people provide documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote and where was I? And a demand that all mail ballots be received by election day. The president has no power. This is in quotes. The president has no power to do any of this. The state attorneys general wrote in court documents. The elections EO is unconstitutional, anti-democratic, and un-American. Trump's order said the U.S. has failed to enforce basic and necessary election protection. Election officials have said recent elections have been among the most secure in U.S. history. There has been no indication of any widespread fraud, including when Trump lost to Democrat Biden in 2020.
The joys of democracy. We
I
get to
know.
elect the worst people. I forgot who said it, but I think it was either a Greek or Roman philosopher who said, "Who will win the election? A candy man who gives you sweet candies, or a doctor that gives you bad medicines to make you healthy?" Obviously, the candy man's going to win because, well, people like what he gives out, but they don't think about it in the long term. Most humans don't
Exactly.
really think in the long term, and that's the failure of democracy. I mean, if I was in the South Park universe, I would have voted for the turd sandwich. I mean, hey, you still get the sandwich. Make that money.
All right, I'm going to read another article.
Okay.
After a long wait, the Senate is launching action on President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts at a risky moment for the U.S. and global economy. More than a month after House Republicans surprised Washington by advancing their framework for Trump's $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and $2 trillion in spending cuts, Senate Republicans voted Thursday to start working on their version. The largely party-line vote 52-48 sets the stage for a potential Senate all-nighter Friday spilling into the weekend. But work on the multi-trillion-dollar package is coming as markets at home and abroad are on edge. In the aftermath of Trump's vast tariffs scheme, complicating an already difficult political and procedural undertaking in what Republicans hope will become their signature domestic policy package. Senate Major Senate Senate Majority Leader John Thune, RSD, opened the chamber Thursday, saying they expected to be ready to begin. Trump says he's on board with the plan, and Republicans in control of Congress are eager to show the party is making progress toward delivering on their campaign promises. By nightfall, as voting began, one Republican, the Libertarian-leaning Sen Rand McCall of Kentucky, voted against, as did all Democrats. Democrats, as the minority party, don't have the votes to stop the GOP plan, but they intend to use the procedural tools available to prolong the process. Democrats argue that Republicans are focusing on tax breaks for the wealthy, of course, at the expense of the programs and services millions of Americans rely on for help with health care, child care, school lunches, and other everyday needs. They're mean, they're nasty, they're uncaring. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said about the Republicans, "We tonight and tomorrow are going to show just who they are." Senate Democrats started consuming up to 25 hours of their available debate time, holding the floor into the night and railing against potential GOP cuts to Medicaid, veterans programs, DOGE cuts, and the impact of Trump's tariffs. Jesus Christ, such a long article. Then Jeff Merkley of Oregon, the ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee, repeated a slogan he has been sharing: "Family losses and families lose, and billionaires win." That he said is the Republican plan. Fundamental to the Senate package is making sure Trump's first-term tax cuts, which are set to expire at the end of the year, are continued and made a permanent fixture of the tax code. The senators are also considering adding Trump's proposed tax cut on tipped wages, Social Security income, and others. The Senate package also would bolster border security funds by some $175 billion to carry out Trump's mass deportation campaign, which is running short of cash, and would add national security funds for the Pentagon. All priorities the Senate GOP tucked into an earlier version that was panned by House Republicans. Republicans, and I don't care. The party whip said that without action, tax cuts would expire, becoming a $4 trillion tax hike or $1 trillion tax hike on Americans. Republicans are focused on getting America back on track, he said. What is unclear is how it will all be paid for, since Republican deficit talks typically require spending offsets to help defray the lost tax revenue and avoid piling onto the nation's $36 trillion debt load. White House Republicans approved their package with $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and up to $2 trillion in spending cuts. The Senate Republicans are taking a different track. Senate Budget Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham, I don't know, is making the case that since the existing Trump tax breaks are the current policy, they are not considered new and do not need to be offset with reductions in spending, an approach Democrats compared to going nuclear with the normal rules, particularly if the strategy is put to the test with an unfavorable ruling before the Senate parliamentary. Instead, Senate Republicans are considering offsets mostly for any new Trump tax breaks, raising alarms from the most conservative budget hawks. The senators have set a floor of about $4 billion in budget reductions to health and other programs, a fraction of the package expected $4 trillion plus price tag for tax breaks. There is like four more paragraphs. GOP leaders are assuring the deficient hawks within their own ranks that the legislation says the cuts can rise to as much as $2 trillion after an expected Friday night vote-a-rama, with dozens of amendments being offered to the package. The senators are planning to stay until Saturday, if needed, to take a final vote to approve it, sending it to the House for action. The House and Senate will ultimately need to merge their frameworks into a final product expected in May, but House Speaker Mike Johnson's intention to have it all wrapped up by Memorial Day could prove optimistic. The political environment is uncertain, and the public appetite for steep budget cuts is being tested in real time with Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, headed by billionaire Elon Musk, blazing through federal offices, firing thousands of workers, and shuttering long-running government mainstays, from scientific research projects on diseases to educational school services for school children to offices that help with Social Security, tax filing, and the weather. Okay, I was wrong. There's a lot more. At the same time, the staunchest official conversations in both the House and Senate, many aligned with the Freedom Caucus, are pushing for even more cuts. Trump told senators publicly and privately this week he would have their backs, particularly when it comes to standing up for the spending reductions. At a White House announcing the tariffs Wednesday, Trump said the Senate plan had his complete and total support, in quotes. The president's steep tariffs threw the global economy into a tailspin Thursday, with stocks down around the world, the U.S. markets leading the way. That was a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it seems like your head is spinning around when you hear things like this.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's kind of the whole Trump tax situation, I guess. So, you have any input on it?
Honestly, I feel like history books are gonna remember these years. They're probably gonna make whole chapters on history between the start of COVID and maybe 2030. Definitely a big
This
time
is going to
period.
be America's new dark age.
Mm.
Hey, at least if the housing market goes down, we can get a house for cheap.
Yeah. Buy up a bunch of
I
land,
don't know.
build up a bunch of houses, fix them up, and either rent them out or sell them.
Or hey, do that thing that Walt Disney did. Buy a bunch of land under different false company names to get land for cheap.
You mean just creating shell companies?
Yes.
No, no, no. It's not the Walt Disney Company. It's the Disney Walt Company. Totally two different companies.
The fun thing is, I used to be a Republican and an anti-furry, but now that I see the truth, I embrace democracy. I'm embracing socialist democracy, and I embrace the LGBT community and the furry community.
Well, I mean, it's not really as bad as being raised Orthodox Jewish. At least I didn't go nearsighted from
Yeah.
it. But you know what? It gave me some valuable life lessons.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I can't really be mad at people. They tried their best.
Yeah, they do.
Hmm. At least the food was good.
What?
At least the food was good.
Hmm.
How long have we been recording for? Oh, like 35 minutes already.
Yeah.
Mm. So I'm hoping to make this at least once a week.
Hopefully.
Or you know what? I'm probably gonna do videos on my own about certain things, but definitely cooperating with you at least once a week will be definitely something I want to do.
I honestly think the Supreme Court refusing Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness thing, that was a really big move.
Because you realize when people go to college, they get higher wages, and higher wages equals more taxable income,
Exactly.
and it's a return on investment. You fund their schooling for 2 to 4 years, and then you got 30, 40 years of higher taxable income.
Yeah.
And also, I thought
I
America
mean,
was
my
so.
grandparents worked into retirement into their, I think, like early to mid 60s.
Mhm.
If not their late 50s. So, yeah, they've been working for a while.
They played their cards right.
Let's hope.
I hope so too.
Housing prices are definitely getting worse. I think that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I'm probably not going to use the the Glassbreak YouTube channel for it, but I'm definitely going to have a side YouTube channel for like music and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't really know what else to say.
I don't really know. Is there really anything else on your mind?
Not really.
Mm. Well, this has been the first episode of the Glass Break vlog. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.